Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and as you can see, we've got another computer to play with, and it's another Thinkcentre, a Thinkcentre Edge. It's a little bit newer than that one that Andy gave me. A bit of a story behind this. As you can see, it looks in a bit of a state. It's a bit manky and what have you, and there's a reason behind that. Believe it or not, this thing's been underwater. That's why. That's why I've got it. So I was given it. It was either me or it was in the skip. What happened? A friend of mine has a fairly large house near me with a large cellar. It used to be an old pub, so it's got a great big cellar on it. And his brother was storing some old office equipment from a business he'd had down there. And unfortunately, with all this cold weather and what have you we've been having, the water main burst outside the house. And it didn't burst and start flooding out of the road like when water mains burst normally happens. It burst and flooded the cellar. As in, they had to have the cellar pumped out. And basically it ruined everything that was being stored down in the cellar. And I was down at his house, and he had a fellow there carting all the stuff out and basically flinging it into a skip. And this was just about to go in the skip, so I said to my mate, "Don't chuck that in the skip, chuck it in the back of my car." When I got it, I've actually had this for a couple of weeks now. It's been sat in my living room in front of the fire, trying to dry out. Because literally when I got hold of this, I emptied water out of it. As you can see, I think it was pretty much completely submerged. So what I thought we'd do in this video is see if there's any possibility of getting this thing working again. If not, it's going to be a great source of parts. The case is actually in really nice condition, it's just dirty. But this is a reasonably new computer. It's not like mega spec or anything, but like I said, we have a Lenovo, so it's not IBM. It is after IBM had stopped making, you know, like the Thinkcentres and stuff, and there was Lenovo. But let's have a look inside it. You can tell, like I said, it is pretty manky. But in there, we've got a fairly new CPU. I'm not sure what it is. It's either going to be an i3, an i5 or an i7. We've got a stick of RAM in there, hard drive, CD drive. Basically that's it. But for a reasonably modern computer, we've got a serial port. And there's a possibility we may even have a parallel port on the board, so this could be, you know, like quite a useful motherboard. Like I said, it is fairly new. What I thought we'd do in this video, like I said, was take this thing apart. Like I said, I have basically got it dry now, as far as I can see. Like I said, this was sopping wet. But what I thought we'd do is pull the motherboard out. Make sure that there's no water left on that board, and we'll see if we can get the motherboard to power up and see if the motherboard works on it. I can't see any reason why we couldn't get this computer back into nice working order, and this would be a nice useful computer to have around. Actually, I need something reasonable with a reasonable bit of power to mess about with some Linux things that I wanted to have a fiddle with, which all the systems that I've currently got at the moment aren't. They'll run Linux, and yeah, but you know, they're all like dual cores and stuff like that. They're not really meaty computers. This, like I said, should have a reasonable amount of power in it. So what I thought, well, what we'll do. First thing I've got to do is figure out how on earth you get the motherboard out of it. What we'll do first is we'll strip the power supply out. that is probably something that I won't initially try, because although seem to have got most of the water out of this thing, I don't particularly fancy just plugging that up until I've completely stripped it down and just made sure there is all the water out of it. Let's see if we can get that out. Disconnect that. That's not bowing too well, that's not disconnecting. Get rid of that cable tie there. There we go. Pull the power to the hard drive. Let's see if we can get that. There we are. There's the power supply out. I'm not sure, yeah. I don't think we'll be just plugging that straight in. For one thing, you've got lots of, you know, transformers, coils and stuff in here, which once they've got water in them, it's actually rather difficult to get it back out again. I'll put that away for looking at in a bit. But like I said, what I want to do today is, this may end up as a multi-parter, but what I'd like to do today is get that board out, and we'll get that on the bench and have a good look at it. So, let's see what else I'm going to have to disconnect here. Let's pull the SATA cables out. And then we've got, I think that's a speaker. That's USB by the look of it. I think that's all the things at the front anyway. Oh, that's that serial port there. That's disconnected. I think this is USB. Yeah, that goes up to there, so that's USB. We've got a lot of USB on here. There we go. I think that's everything off. Now I should have 1, 2, 3, 4 screws by the look of it, and I think we can get the main board out. That's one. Two. That's 3. That's 4. Right, now let's see if that's going to come loose. Or have I missed a screw anywhere? Oh yes, I have. There's one there I've missed. Okay, that's out. Let's try again. Now, there still seems to be something holding that. It shouldn't just be the fact that it's in there, that should pop out. Now, what else is holding it? There's nothing holding it there. There's not something under the heatsink, is there? It's the bit in that there's... Right, I think we'll have to pull the heatsink and fan off before we can actually get in there. So let's get that disconnected. In fact, let's get some anti-static on, and I'll pull the RAM and everything out as well and get that out of the way. I'm sure we'll want to have a clean of it anyway. Okay. pop the RAM out. Let's see what we've got. Right, so we've got, I think that's a 4 gig stick there. So it looks like we've got 4 gig of RAM. And that feels nice and dry now. I think that's probably going to be okay. I'll put that mic over there. I'll just take the heatsink off, because I'm wondering whether it's either fixed right through to the back of the case on the heatsink. The heatsink and fan. Oh, there's another screw underneath there, so it doesn't seem to be lifting up. In fact, I'll have to tip the computer like that, I think, while I take these out. There we go. One more. There we go. Let's unplug that. There's our CPU fan. Now what else is holding this board in place? There's definitely one more thing holding it. See, it's basically loose, but it's not pulling up, so what have I missed? I must have missed something. I must be missing like one screw somewhere that I've just not spotted. But where? That is the question. No, there's something definitely still holding that. I don't think it's those, because it's free there. Ah, I've spotted it. I knew I'd spot it eventually. It was hidden by one of the RAM slots. That should be the last one. Right, now let's see if we can get this board out. There we go, lovely. Right, looks like I'm going to have to take that serial port off there to actually get the main board out. Okay. There we go. Right, so we can get that out of the way as well. And now hopefully we can get this main board out. There we are. Okie dokie. Right, I will get the case out of the way, and I will get you over here a little bit so you can have a proper look down on this board, and we can have a good look at it. So back in a sec. Right, okay, that's better. We can actually have a proper look at the board now. And so what we've got here, well, we've got a Lenovo, and I believe it's an IH61M is the actual model of the board. As I said before, we've got I'm not sure what the CPU actually is. Let's clean all that old nasty thermal compound off there, and we can have a look, see what the actual main board is. Sorry, let's see what the processor is. This is really horrible, like dried on. I expect it'll be an i3. These were just office computers, you know. They wouldn't need, for what they would for what they were doing. I think his company was something to do with telesales or something like that. I doubt there'll be anything like spectacular, but still shouldn't be too bad. Let's see what we've got on there. I can't actually, it doesn't actually say whether it's like an i3 and i5. It's a 2.9 gig CPU, whichever it is. I thought they actually said whether, you know, like i3, i7, i5, i7 actually on the CPU, but all it says is Intel Pentium. I'm sure that will tell us. What's that say? G645, I think it says. Made in Costa Rica. What we will do, we will take the CPU out. There is also some rather a lot of general detritus on here that you find in a computer, you know, dust, fluff, bits of cobweb as well, because like I said, this was stored down in a cellar. What I want to do, get that off there. What I want to do is pull the CPU out, and as you know, these use like little contact pads rather than pins, and just make sure there's no moisture left underneath there. I'm reasonably confident I've got most of the wetness out of this. Like I say, it's spent a couple of weeks sat in front of my open fire with the side off as well, so obviously, look at that. Ugh. Look at that. Ugh. That's nothing to do with the flood. This is just your general computer's detritus that they pick up while they're running, with obviously with a fan in them. Well, let's get rid of the rest of this old heatsink compound off. Thermal grease, Arctic silver, whatever you want to call it. Let's take that CPU out. And we're looking perfect under there. Can't see any signs of moisture ingress actually under there. That was really nice condition actually. I don't think that's going to be a problem. If we lift that up, I can't see any signs of moisture under there as well, so I think my my drying treatment has actually worked. I'll give it a quick blow to get rid of all them bits of the thermal compound that were on there. But that doesn't look too terrible. That doesn't actually look too terrible at all. Put that back. That used to go under there like that. Very, very similar to how the processor mounts on my Xeon. I'm not that familiar with these newfangled computers. I don't do all that much with them, but when you get the opportunity to get one for free, you don't take it, you don't turn it down, do you? Right, okay, so I think the CPU is actually fairly happy. Let's make sure that is 100%. Yeah, that's seated where it should be. And that's now locked down in place. So I'm reasonably happy with no water underneath there. And the top here actually doesn't look too bad. I think most... Well, apologies about that. The damn battery failed again. Right, anyway, let's carry on. So, what was I saying? It always throws your train of thought when something like that happens. Especially when this camera takes, you know, 5 minutes or so to rebuild the file before you can actually continue working, you know, to recover what it was working on before it went off. Right, so anyway, we've got this thing reasonably clean now. All we seem to see on the top part here is just like general detritus from the fact that it spent I don't know how long being stored in a cellar. One of the good things about that flood really was I know it was clean water. It was from a mains water burst, so this thing hasn't been sat in, you know, brown water or anything. And a lot of things that come out of floods, it's brown water. It's water mixed with sewage and all kinds of really nasty things, and I'm a bit hesitant anything like that really messing with it. This, like I said, I know it was a mains water burst. All the water that filled that cellar was just clean drinking water basically. So I'm from that respect, you know, it's not too bad. It seems to have dried out actually fairly well. I'm just going to spend a few minutes just getting some of the muck and rubbish off it really, off this top part, but it's actually looking fairly good. I can't see anything straight away that go, yo, uh-oh, that doesn't look good. It's not looking bad. Pop the battery out, and even that, yeah, it's all nice and dry in there. I think the time it spent in front of the fire has probably saved it, to be honest. I'm feeling if it had been left, you know, just wet, we'd be having more problem, you know, it would be in a lot worse condition. What I should have really done is do all this as soon as I got it while it was still wet, strip it all down, clean it, dry it, but unfortunately I've not had the time to really do anything with it, so I thought the best thing I can do, take the side off it, like I said, slowly dry it in front of the fire for a couple of weeks. That doesn't look too terrible. What we'll do, we'll flip it over and we'll have a look on the other side, see what state that's in. And that doesn't look as good. Yeah, let me get you zoomed in so you can have a look. But this is not looking quite as promising as the other half did. Let me get you zoomed down a bit. Yeah. Ooh dear. Let's get you in there a bit and down. Yeah. Now we do have a fair bit of corrosion on. Oh yeah, that's a bit of a mess. And there's actually, so I can see some spots of rust there and there. We've got loads and loads of corrosion. I think what we'll do, where's my IPA? We'll have a bit of a go at just seeing if we can get all this off before we go any further, see if there's any real nasty damage. Give that a spray over. And where's my toothbrush? Come on, where's Mr. Toothbrush? The toothbrush is a good thing. What you want to do basically is just agitate it a little bit before you go in with a Q-tip and try and clean it off. Where has my toothbrush gone? Because I weren't using it long ago. I'm sorry folks, you're just going to have to bear with... Oh, is it up there? No, it's not. Sorry folks, you're just going to have to bear with me a second again. I'll just go and see if I can find a suitable brush to clean this off with. Right, okay, and as usual, I'll switch the camera off, I stand up, and lo and behold, there's my toothbrush. Right, let's give this a bit of a clean, and see if we can get all them deposits. Actually, they're not doing too bad. Most of them seem to have dissolved off just with the application of the IPA. This, by the way, is a very, very soft bristled toothbrush. It's one of the ones designed for people that have gum disease and bleeding gums, so it's incredibly soft, and it's perfect for doing this, for cleaning up boards with lots and lots of little surface mount parts on like this. Because I have actually done it with, had a stronger standard toothbrush, been doing this and actually knocked little surface mount parts off before now. That's why I found these are really, really good for cleaning up. Right, that's not looking bad there. Most of that's come off. We'll go in with a Q-tip and we'll... Yeah. That's not looking bad. We've got a little bit of something on the Q-tip, but it's not coming out absolutely filthy or anything. What there might actually be is a little bit of like salts on this board and in the computer, from the fact that you've got concrete and things like that in the cellar. The floor is concrete, and some of that will have leached into the water, and there's various salts and minerals in like concrete, aggregates, stuff like that, which will have got into the water and will have been deposited on the board, and they will cause problems, you know, in time, so it's best to try and get them off. If I had a big ultrasonic cleaner, that would be by far the best way of dealing with this, with cleaning this off. Unfortunately, my ultrasonic cleaner is pretty tiny. It's great for doing small things. Well, I should go and see if I could find it for you, but it's not about at the moment. It's great for doing, you know, small items. To be honest, what I've used it for mostly is sorting out carburetors and injectors. It's really good for things like that, for stripping a carb down and cleaning all the needles and all your jets out. And again, for rebuilding injectors, you can strip an injector down and throw all the parts in it, and they come out pretty clean. I used to have to do that every now and again on my old truck because I used to run it on veg oil, which does fur up your injectors a little bit, especially when you're running, you know, dirty, manky veg oil. Not biodiesel, just used veg oil, roughly filtered used veg oil. It does fur up your filters a bit, your injectors a bit. All I ever used to do was just take them apart, throw them in the ultrasonic cleaner, clean them all up and put them back together again, and hey presto. You can see we have got quite a bit of muck and rubbish coming off that. In fact, now it's dried out, we can actually see where all the deposits are left that we need to get off. And I think this is like mainly salts and stuff like that that have leached out of that water and be deposited on this board, because a bit of a scrub like that and they do actually clean off, if you look, quite easily. So what I'm going to have to do, I think, is spend a bit of a time like this with the IPA and some Q-tips and really go over this board and see if I can get all this all these deposits off it. Agitate it with the brush, and then we'll go in with the Q-tip and see, yeah, that's coming off. That seems to be coming off quite nicely now. What I will do, I will probably spend half an hour or so just doing this. I don't want to bore you with all that, so what I'll do is I'll come back when I've got this a bit cleaner and we can carry on. So back in a sec. Right, okay, I've been at it probably about 40 minutes or so, and as you can see, that's come up a bit better than it was, hasn't it? That's not looking too bad now. I've got rid of most of it, I think. Get my bench clean and I'll just put that back down. Like I said, this side doesn't really look too bad. It's a fair few Q-tips I've gone through doing that as well. But yeah, there we go. That's not looking too bad now. What I think we'll do is we'll clean up the heatsink, get all that grot off there, and we'll have a go at seeing if we can get this board to actually power up. Bit of fluff and what have you that you always get in these things, but actually it's not too bad. Considering this was an office computer, it's not bad at all really. What we will do is we'll clean what's left of the old thermal compound off the bottom of there, with a bit still stuck to it. Fortunately, most of it was on the CPU, and that cleaned off nice and easy, didn't it? But there's a bit still stuck on there. We'll get that off like that. make that nice and ready for some new thermal compound. Come on, off you come. There we are. So if this thing is going to work, I don't want to burn burn up what's potentially a reasonable CPU. There we go. That'll do. It'll do for testing anyway. Right, let's see what we've got. We can thermal compound wise. See what I've got. I'm certain to have some in here. What's that? Silicon sealant. That didn't do very well. Aha! What have we got here? There we go. I knew I had some somewhere. We've got some proper Arctic silver. That. I think there should be some in here. Yeah. It's a while since I've done this, so hopefully this stuff's still okay. The correct amount of thermal. That should be enough. You always see people put way too much of that stuff on. You don't really need all that much. You just need enough to make a really fine layer basically between that and that. Because all it's there to do is take up any imperfections between the two. So you want a closer fit between the top of the CPU and the actual heatsink there as you can. So you see people really glooping the thermal compound on, and really you're not doing anything that's going to help. You don't need that much. We'll screw that back down. Just noticed there's a little bit of rust on them screws for that. But only a tiny little bit. It's not going to cause us any problems. That's in. I like to just go around them like this. It's like you're torquing a cylinder head on a car down or something, you know. Go around in a pattern rather than just yank one down all the way to start. There we go. I think that one's the last one that needs. There we go. Done. Right, so we've got a heatsink back on the CPU. Plug its fan back in. And reinstate its memory. Right, okay. Now I'm going to need a monitor, which I've got up here. I need some power to the monitor. Right, is that still plugged in? Let me just check. Can't remember if that's plugged in or not. Oh yeah, that's plugged in, so that should be okay. So we've got a monitor, we've got power to the monitor. And get that plugged in. Plugged in there. We're going to need a power supply to run this. Like I said, I don't want to just power it up with that supply that's been underwater until I strip all that down and have a proper look at it. So, where's one of my test supplies? Let me see if I can just quickly find a suitable test power supply. What's that there? Will you do? Are you a known good test power supply? Yeah, we've used this one before for testing motherboards. I know it works well. Plug that in there like that. Get that out of the way. And plug that over there like that. Right, so we've got a power supply connected up. I think that's everything really. We better shove some power up it. Right, put some power up that. Okay, I'll switch on. Let's see if we get any activity. Got a little kick then. Now, let me see if I can get this thing to power up. I think it's one of these two, isn't it? No. I think that's where we should be, yeah, because that's the front panel. So let's see what it's saying. I think if we just, I'll tell you what we could do, we could just quickly see if we can just connect it up to that connector in the thing and see if we can power it up that way. Let's shut that off there. Now which one of these goes to the front panel? That one. So I've got the case in this hand here. It's got a nice long wire, so what I'm going to try and do is plug that in there, and then I can use the switch on the front of the case there to power it up, because I am not 100% sure which ones of them is actually the two for the power. So we'll connect that up like that. We'll switch back on down there, and let's see. It started. So far I've got absolutely zero activity on the monitor. Nothing's coming up. I've got no beep code. It's not beeping or anything for a postcode or anything. But obviously it's not completely dead. Try switching off again. Let's see if it can understand me. I'm just holding the power button down, see if we can get it to shut back off. Nope. I'm turning it off at the mains. There must be a hell of a lot of capacitance in that power supply, because that's quite a long time it took to power down then. Let's give it one last quick try. So again, I've switched the power back on so that oh, and it's decided to start up itself this time. But no activity at all on the monitor, so obviously we're not getting a video signal or anything out of it. We're not getting any post beeps or anything like that from the little piezo speaker it's got on there. And like I said, and the power button on the front of the case there is doing absolutely nothing. No, absolutely nothing. Unfortunately, I can't even, with this being so new, I can't even like plug my postcode card in because we haven't got a PCI slot to plug it into. All we've got is the, is it PCI Express or whatever these little tiny things are. A little bit new for me, to be honest. So diagnosing this could be a lot of fun. I'm wondering whether, have I got another computer that uses an i3 or an i platform? I think I do actually. I think I've got one upstairs that's got an i3 in it. So what we might do is we might use that to test the CPU and the RAM. If they're okay, I might look at getting a see how much a replacement motherboard is on eBay, because obviously it's like the CPU and the RAM are going to be a bit more money. The case we can obviously do something with. The case isn't too bad, it just needs cleaning. But it looks like this motherboard has unfortunately met its maker. That's to say that it was working when it was put down in the cellar. Could be a chance that it was a faulty computer and that's why, you know, it was left down in the cellar. It was the only computer down there. There's some various other bits of office detritus and stuff, but this was the only one that was, I think, stuck down in the cellar. So it could just be that this actually was faulty. I'll have to have a word with my mate and see whether his brother knew or knows whether this is actually was in working order when it was put down there or not. But at least we've had a little bit of signs of life from it. We've had fan spin, but that's it. And unfortunately, unlike Lewis Rossman and his Macs, fan spin does not mean you've fixed it. We've obviously got quite a bit to look at here. It's not going to be as easy as just drying it off and I've got myself a nice free computer, obviously. But that being said, I've got a really nice case. If nothing else out of this, I've got a really nice stylish case I can use for another build or something like that. Hopefully the CPU and the RAM are going to be alright, and it is just, you know, this motherboard's toast. But what I think we'll do, I'm going to leave this video here because I didn't want this video to be too long. It was just a little bit, ooh, is it going to work or not? But I think there'll be a part 2 to this, and I'll dig my other computer out that's got a motherboard that could take that RAM and CPU, and we can try the RAM and CPU from this in that system. Maybe we can even try the CPU and RAM from that on this motherboard and see, you know, is it going to run or not. I have a feeling that either this motherboard was damaged before it even went down into the cellar, or there's corrosion under one of all these many ICs or something. Although the corrosion, all there was that little bit on the back. This side of the board actually looked really, really good. But yeah, there we are. This is, like I said, this is the Lenovo, which has literally spent time. And this is the other thing is, I'm not 100% sure how much time this actually spent actually underwater, because they discovered that the cellar was flooded, and it was I think it were a few days before they managed to get it all pumped out and everything, and then it was a few days after that that they had someone in there actually clearing everything out and launching it into a skip. So how long this spent wet, I'm not 100% sure. I have had it a couple of weeks, and like I said, I've slowly dried it out in front of the fire. What would have probably been better is, like I said, as soon as I got it back, was to completely strip it down, wash this in the sink, and then dry it, and perhaps try it like that. But like I say, unfortunately, with time constraints and everything, this is the first time I've really had a chance to fiddle about with it. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. But with luck, you will be seeing a part 2 on this, and we can actually see if there's anything from this, like I say, the CPU, RAM, that we can salvage. If we can, like I said, I will look into perhaps a replacement motherboard, because I very, very much doubt we're going to repair that motherboard. It's probably something, you know, that's underneath there. I think, is that the like North Bridge or the South Bridge or something like that? That'll be under there. That's probably a BGA chip by the age of this. Like it's fairly new, this thing, with many, you know, balls under there. Water could have got into that. That could have caused corrosion under there. It's possible we could try reflowing it. I don't know. Give me some suggestions. What should I try? What should I try next with this thing? Like I said, this is not the type of thing I normally mess with. I'm not into modern stuff. I do the odd repair on the odd modern stuff, but it would be a useful computer if I can get it working. Like I said, I have uses I could put it to. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed this little Will It Run video. So I will say, look out for a part 2 on this, and thanks for watching, and goodbye.